Aloha, beautiful souls, and welcome to a collective reading here at Transform with Rian. It's a very cozy day today where I'm at. It's been raining and cloudy quite a bit, so I'm all bundled up and thinking like that would be a good time to do a reading for all of us. Some insight for you and I. Let's see what comes through from Spirit to guide us on a higher path, a path of growth and evolution. And let me know too, like, how do you feel when the weather is a bit cloudy and rainy? Do you like it? Do you not like it as much? Let me know how you feel. I know I feel my energy is a little bit more cozy and less vibrant when it's raining, and sometimes we need that, right? Time to rest and relax, recharge. Definitely the earth needs some water, right? That's what's so great about the rain. So to open us up for our collective reading today, we have two cards. Surrender to what is, and surrender the habit of people pleasing. Ooh, this is a good one. So I'll read the bottom here. Surrender to what is. Flow with what is instead of fighting it. When you can't change a situation, compassionately accepting it exactly as it is will bring you peace. That's a beautiful message. Here's the image once again for that. And we also have the bottom portion for surrender the habit of people pleasing. Speak your needs and be true to yourself. Focus on your own happiness instead of always trying to make everyone else happy. Wow. Let me know in the comments down below which one of these do you resonate the most with. Obviously, Spirit has a message regarding both topics for all of us today, so let's dive into this a little bit. I know with this, I have to say, for a good portion of my life, I've had that sort of social conditioning and programming that if you don't like it, fix it, right? And then sometimes that is a useful mindset to have, but other times too, it can lead to a lot of frustration. Do you know what I mean? Where it's like, you don't like something the way it is right now, so you try to change it, and at times you can even experience more resistance or more frustration, more disappointment when you try to fight against what is in some ways beyond your control, right? And I feel like in those cases too, it's, there's this balance game that we play living our life with the guidance of Source, with Spirit, where there are some times where we need to problem solve, troubleshoot, so that we can learn, right? And then there are other times where we have to sort of surrender and realize that it's not just up to us always, right? That there are other forces that have an effect on our very existence. And it's this energy, I feel, of like coexisting, and being able to discern the time to act and the time to accept. And I feel like that's one of the challenges as you sort of grow and evolve along your spiritual awakening journey, is to be able to tell the difference between the two, like when you should push harder and fight harder, and when there's when is the time to surrender. Do you know what I mean? Now, we'll talk more about this habit of people pleasing in a moment, but I feel like it's time for us to draw some tarot cards. I'm feeling like we need some cards from this deck today. So we have our first one there. Oh, okay, Spirit is saying this one right here, and the other ones can go back. And, oh, wow, that card. Okay, these two. So let's see what these 5 cards are that Spirit has to share with us. So the one that first came out is well, not the first, but the one that kind of flipped out right side up is 9 of Chalices, 9 of Cups. So it's what I call like the wish card. Let's see what else came through for us. The 8 of Wands. I love it. And we also have the Page of Wands with their magical staff. Kind of making me think of Harry Potter right now. I saw the coolest little IG reel where someone created like the floating candles and the clouds and lightning on their hallway, right inside of their door, which I thought was really neat and made me want it myself. Strength. And the Page of Swords. So, wow. We have two pages here to kind of go with the surrender to what is. And what I'm feeling here is, we're all on a journey here on Earth, on this path. And we all, in some ways, start fresh and start new on many levels throughout our life. And there are some things that, our mind, which is this Page of Swords energy, there's some things where our mind is appropriate and is sort of the best guide, right? That intelligence, data processing, data application, knowledge, right? There's times when that's handy to connect with and to utilize when making decisions and choices. And then here we have the Page of Wands, which is someone who really lets gut instinct, all right, navigate and guide them. And, this is often how spirit communicates with us, is with the Page of Wands, the sort of like instinctual feeling, this inner feeling here that is a bit unexplainable. And then we also have the Page of Swords, which is our experiences, the knowledge, what we've gained. And sometimes it's our mind that's speaking us, our ego that's speaking to us. And what I'm seeing here with the surrender to what is, what I'm hearing as the guidance for you and I today, well, part of the guidance, it sounds like there's a lot of messages to kind of dive into with this, is that we need to be aware of perhaps the emotions that can come with certain circumstances that may drive us to choose one thing versus the other, okay? Now, spirit often communicates to us with this feeling of passion, excitement, right? Something that maybe you've experienced this before, where it just like kind of feels right, So that's the realm of spirit, is sort of this expansive, adventure, exciting kind of feeling, this aligned feeling. And with the mind, what I was reading in one of the books before for self-development, and I've read actually this concept in a couple of books. One was about like emotional IQ, or emotional quotient, EQ, and then another one was, I want to say it's like the gentleman who wrote the Five Agreements, or is it Four Agreements? Don Miguel Ruiz. And it was speaking about the ego mind and how the mind and the ego protects us through fear. Okay? So oftentimes in the modern world now, so I'm not speaking about like biologically and sort of caveman days or whatever, when we let fear guide our choices, oftentimes it takes us down sort of maybe a limited pathway, right? Are you following what I'm saying? So when we let fear guide our decisions, we find ourselves going down a pathway where there's no room for growth. There's no room for expansion. There's no room for sort of a new opportunity, a new beginning, a new experience, right? Because we're afraid. We're afraid of change. We're afraid of being uncomfortable. So that's important for us as we grow and evolve throughout our lifetime to sort of move past. Okay, now there are times when fear can be healthy. It's sort of a protective mechanism, right? Like maybe there's, it's late at night and there's a dark alleyway where you can't see the other end, you can't see clearly. So maybe that might not be a good route for you to walk along, right? Because it's too dark, visibility is low. And chances are you could get hurt, whether it's hurt by another person or hurt because you tripped over something that you didn't see. Do you know what I'm saying? So there are some cases where fear can be helpful, or when someone is holding like a weapon at you and they are looking really aggressive and scary. Like fear can be that thing that motivates you to run and protect yourself and go somewhere safe. You know what I'm saying? So there are those times when fear is healthy in that regard. But at other times, fear can be um, prohibitive, right? Fear can keep us stuck. Fear can keep us trapped. It's like fear of leaving a job, fear of leaving an unhealthy relationship, because when things aren't working out well, when we're feeling abused, when we're feeling put down, when we're being taken for granted, we're afraid to change the circumstances because it's like we're afraid of the unknown. We're afraid that things might be harder, things might be more difficult. Is this resonating with you? Let me know in the comments down below with like a little heart or something, because I feel like um, the messages are a little bit unclear and how I'm communicating it, even though it feels clear in my mind and in my heart, you know? But the main thing is, again, differentiating when we're making decisions, if we're making that choice out of fear or we're making that choice out of expansion, out of growth, right? And sometimes those choices are going to be a little bit difficult. That things that will expand and grow us along our journey, whether that's growing with money, finances, growing in relationships and love, growing with maturity, and learning new things, right? Growing our skill sets. It can be a little bit uncomfortable at times, and we might be afraid to do it, but once we kind of get past those initial stages, we realize how much we've come, how far we've come, I should say, and how much we've evolved. Like when I moved to another country, was there a little bit of fear and apprehension there of the unknown about what it would be like to live somewhere where I don't really know a lot of people? Of course there was. But once I get on the plane, once I book that ticket, once I make all these arrangements and I find myself in that other country, it isn't really as bad as my mind was creating it to be. And then I got to meet a whole bunch of new people. I got to experience new things and sort of open up my mind on how things can be done differently around the world in different aspects of life, Does that make sense? I feel like I'm asking that a lot, but I just want to make sure everyone's kind of following. So give me some hearts in the comment down below if things are making sense to you so far. Now, with this Eight of Wands, I'm feeling that the main message here is that once we surrender to what is, we can kind of like move forward on our timeline, move forward on our path. Sometimes when we get stubborn and we dig our heels in and we keep that fight, it keeps us stuck. And we keep replaying these same cycles, these same issues over and over and again when we're refusing to kind of flow and change with the circumstances, right? We're not accepting what is happening here. And so we're fighting against it and we're stuck. We're not moving. And the moment we simply allow, and the moment we, take that deep breath and just move forward in the direction we're being guided, amazing things can happen for us. Amazing things can happen quickly, right? And then we find that we end up in a better place than maybe we were at before, and our wishes can come true. But it takes a lot of strength, a lot of inner fortitude here to trust, right? Trust that the universe has our best interests, and trust that everything is going to be okay when we make a difficult decision, right? Or we choose a different path, a different way to handle something than the way we've handled it before, right? And now I'm actually feeling this energy of this people-pleasing habit, okay? I don't know about you, but there are times in my life, definitely I used to do it a lot more, where I made decisions because I didn't want to upset somebody. I made decisions to keep me within a certain comfort zone. I made decisions because I was afraid that someone might judge me or look at me differently if I chose what I really wanted to do or how I really felt in my heart. I did things based on how I thought other people wanted me to do things, right? And it's all this people-pleasing habit. right? Have you, be honest now, have you ever been in those types of situations too, where you wanted to do something else, you wanted to do something different, but because of the people that were involved, you chose something that was kind of against your heart's desires, your personal judgment, right? And you've said things like, oh, I shouldn't have done that, right? I know there were many times in my youth where it was like, oh, I really don't feel like going out and partying. Like, I just want to stay home and rest. But all my friends were like peer pressuring me to go out to the club, go out dancing, go out for drinks, that kind of thing. And then, you know, the next day I'm kind of like, oh, I wish I hadn't done that because now I'm really exhausted. Now I got behind on my schoolwork, or now I have a raging headache or hangover. Do you know what I'm saying? And I chose to go out with my friends because I was afraid that they wouldn't want to be my friend anymore, or I was afraid that I would upset them by saying no. And that's, I think, what a lot of us experience, right? We're afraid of like maybe upsetting a relationship, ruining a relationship, losing a relationship by saying no to things that people want us to do or offer for us to do, right? And I'm feeling here that with spirit that we need to let that go, right? That we need to stop making choices to please others because our ego is saying, oh, if we don't do what everyone else wants us to do, then we're going to be seen as bad people. We're going to lose friends. We're going to lose some level of happiness in our life. And Spirit is saying that's not true. Really, that's what I'm hearing, is that that's not true at all. That I think a couple of things can happen is what I'm hearing from Spirit. You'll be surprised that it's actually not that big a deal when you say no to your friends. That instead of this whole blowout, this whole drama, they're just kind of like, oh, okay, well, maybe next time we can go out, okay? Have a good night then. I'll catch up with you later, right? Or I've had instances where I've said no, and then my friends are like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad you said no because I didn't want to do that either. So maybe there's something else I can do, like we can do together. Like, what were you thinking? Maybe instead of going out tonight, do you want to just like order takeout and watch a movie or something, right? And I only asked you out just because like, these other people are going out. But maybe if you and I decide to stay home, like it won't be as a big a deal and we can just let everyone else who wants to go out, go out. Right? Have you ever had that situation where you tell somebody no and you find out that they also didn't want to do something, and then it works out really nicely and it's not as big a deal as you thought? Now, the other thing that can happen is like, yeah, okay, whatever. Maybe they do get upset with you. Maybe they do make a big fuss about it. And then over time, maybe they do stop being your friend. Maybe they do stop inviting you out to do those kinds of things that you don't like to do or that don't resonate with you anymore, right? Like when I started saying, no, I don't want to go out clubbing, there were some of my acquaintances, I should call them rather than friends, but there were some acquaintances who stopped inviting me out, who I stopped spending time with. But I came to realize that we weren't sort of aligned. We weren't on the same page anymore, and we were growing in different directions. And so why should we spend time with each other when we have different interests, right? And me doing the things that I enjoy doing, you doing the things that you enjoy doing, you start to meet people with similar interests, right? And you start having more fun rather than feeling forced to do something that you don't want to do over and over and over again, right? Like, why waste all this time doing things we don't want to do, being around people that really don't have the same interests as we do or same values, or and I mean values is like what people want to spend their time and energy on, like what's important to them, what is fun to them. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, that's what I mean by values. And we can start hanging out with people who do give us joy, who do have shared and common interests, and maybe in some ways, common mindsets and ideas. And then here with this page one, same interests. So part of this too is finding, in a way, like those that are most aligned with you, right? Finding the things that are truly meant for you, whether that's a job, whether it's a friendship, whether that's a partner, a romantic partner or lover, or people, again, who have the same hobbies and interests as you. So I feel like the message that we're getting here today is stay true to who you are as a person, right? What your interests are, what your values are, what you need in life to feel centered, to feel grounded, to feel fulfilled. I know sometimes, I don't know about you, like I just want to spend time alone. But I have agreed in the past to go do social things with other people just because I didn't want to seem like, a loner, a weirdo, an introvert, um, and someone who like didn't care and didn't want to socialize, right? I didn't want to give off that impression because it's like, yeah, I don't mind socializing, but I also like my alone time. And it's really important for me as a person to have a balance of alone time and social interactions. Do you know what I'm saying? And so sometimes I've just said yes to go hanging out with people and doing activities because I didn't want to come off as someone who wasn't interested in friendship, who wasn't interested in interacting with other people, right? And I didn't want to not get invited to things in the future because I said no that one time and people suddenly think I don't want to go out and do stuff, right? So I had those fears, but then when I started to realize that there are ways I can just say, oh, I feel like I need a little bit of alone time, but please let me know next time you go out, and then maybe I can join then, right? Or this phrase that I learned on a podcast the other day when you need to decline for whatever reasons is, hey, I'm kind of at capacity right now. So let me just take care of these things that I need to do for myself and my well-being, and then I can, re-engage with you at another time or hang out with you at another time. And I find that over time, the more I got into that habit, the better quality the time I spend with my friends and the more precious it is when we spend time together because we're really engaged with each other because we're both feeling at our best. Does that make sense? It's like you both want to be there. I'm sure you've been in a situation where you can tell like the other person didn't want to be there because they had other things on their mind or other things going on, but they came anyway. And you've probably been in that same position yourself, right? I can only imagine that there have been instances both ways for you. And so it's really just about, again, honoring your energy, honoring where you're at in the present moment, and not being guilted into doing something that doesn't feel aligned with you, that doesn't feel good for you. And I think that's a lesson that we can all take with us in this coming days, coming weeks, to really check in with ourselves and ask ourselves, do we really want to do something? Right? And kind of learn to stand up for ourselves, learn to be truthful with how we're feeling and how we're doing, and respecting ourselves, respecting our own wishes. Does that make sense? So let me know in the comments down below how this reading resonated with you. If anything, what I would like for you to comment down below as an affirmation that we have gratefully received this message from Spirit today is, I respect my energy, I respect my space, I respect my desires. So comment that down below. I respect my energy, I respect my space, and I respect my desires. Ooh, that actually felt really good to say it out loud, so I encourage you to do the same. In any case, those were our messages from Spirit today, and I hope you enjoyed them and got something helpful out of it as well along your life journey, and I hope to see you again soon. Please give this video a thumbs up and a like before you go, and of course I invite you to subscribe if you resonate with these messages, and that way you can receive more collective readings, but also pick a card readings here on my channel to nourish your soul. All right, take care, loves. Thank you so much for hanging with me as we receive these messages from Spirit today. Au revoir. Bye-bye.